Filmmaker Robert Greenwald was recently in Pakistan, where he's working on a new film tackling this very subject. Robert joins us now to talk about what he found over there. He's the activist and founder of Brave New Films. Robert, welcome back to our program.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be with you and good to be back.
Thanks for joining us. First of all, is there a website yet for your trip to Pakistan and for this work that you're putting together?
Yes, warcosts.com, which is our general work around war, has it. There's a website, there's Facebook, and there's also on my Twitter account, Robert Greenwald, and my Facebook account. Any and all of those will have the blogs, the videos, the researches, and the investigations we'll be doing.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Tell us about your trip to Pakistan.
Well, I went to Pakistan, and the idea was to interview, research, investigate, and really the same way when I went to Afghanistan and came back and talked with you, Tom, and many of your listeners and viewers, to see and feel and sense what was going on. And I met with a whole variety of people, everyone from potentially the next elected leader of Pakistan, Imran Khan, to journalists, to reporters, to doctors who were treating drone victims, to elected officials. The Pakistan parliament has voted 3 times unanimously to oppose drones. And then most movingly and troublingly and upsettingly, drone victims, their families, young boys, fathers whose mothers had been killed, and tribal elders who talked about drones attacking them as they were having meetings among their families.
I remember when the initial invasion of Iraq happened, and Amy Goodman actually has gone around with a kind of a tour of this video. CNN Domestic was showing the simulations, or in some cases aerial photos, but in most cases almost cartoons of smart bombs going in chimneys. CNN International, which we were not seeing in the United States, was showing people on the ground being blown up and people dying as a result of that. Do you think that the reason why 83% of Americans support this drone war, whereas the Pakistanis are horrified by it, is because our media is totally failing to show us what it really is doing?
Well, I think there's a couple of problems and issues, Tom, with the drone campaign. First of all, it's being launched in areas which are basically very primitive and basic, and where there is virtually no media to report back accurately. So what they're doing is they're taking the word for the CIA. And the CIA is saying, drone launched, 10 militants killed, 20, 30, whatever it is. No substantiation, no transparency, no way to make that, to challenge that. What the drone victims are doing, who are coming forward, are saying, no. I was with a man, Tom. He had three young daughters, one of whom had been injured. He was holding up a picture to me of his mother, 65-year-old gray-haired woman, pointed at the camera and said to me in Pashto, "This is not a terrorist. This is my mother." So that's what we all need to do to counter to CIA and to get the word out there that many innocent people are in fact being killed. And the CIA right now has sort of convinced the media to just put out their word, but I think they will come to understand very quickly, as one of the people I interviewed said, this is as devastating in terms of the media as the Iraq war, because we're not getting the fair and realistic answer as to what's happening.
Yeah, well, and that was the analogy that I think, trying to point to. Ben Emerson, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Counterterrorism and Human Rights, has said that this is basically a war crime, drone warfare. Kind of a two-part question here. Based on your investigation, would you agree with that assessment? And B, what do you think? We're seeing some reports that there's actually a debate going on inside the Obama administration about, more or less how that's done, all that kind of thing with regard to the drone warfare. Do you think that there are voices within the Obama administration that are suggesting that they might have even crossed the line into war crimes?
Well, we do understand from people we're talking to and people we're interviewing for the documentary itself that there's a real debate between the CIA, which is launching these drones and is unleashed. And remember, by the way, We are not at war with Pakistan. We are sending drones into Pakistan, violating their sovereignty in defiance of their parliament and what they've asked us to do. So you have that on the one hand, the CIA. On the other hand, apparently, you have people in the State Department who know that this is not, we're not going to be able to kill our way to a solution, and who are resisting the expansion of the drones, which may in fact be both illegal, according to the United Nations, and the war crimes, particularly, as I've heard it explained, Tom, the potential war crimes are what's called double tap, which is a drone hits a populace, there are injuries, and then as people go out to help and treat and minister those who've been hit, a second drone strikes. That double tap may in fact, although we're not sure, be policy. If so, that in fact may be a legal war crime.
Yeah, in fact, that's how some of the IEDs were done, and that's terrible stuff. That's genuinely terrible stuff. There are Mexican drug lords operating and living inside the United States. If Mexico were to send drones over Phoenix, Arizona, and take out part of a city block, Americans would respond, we'd be at war with Mexico the next day. How is it that Americans don't get what it's like for the Pakistanis?
Well, some don't get it, some sadly don't care, and some are not being informed about what's going on, and many people think it's a safer, cheaper way to protect ourselves. But in fact, Tom, I can tell you, after speaking to so many people in all stratas of Pakistan society, and so many of them have said this over and over again, from Imran Khan on down, this policy could not be more dangerous to the United States of America. Remember, the Times Square bomber was there because of the drones. Remember that we're talking about a culture and society, extended families built on loyalty and commitment. They're having family members killed. We are making lifelong enemies of every single one of them, every single one in their extended families. We now have hundreds of thousands of people in the SWAT area who detest what we are doing because of the innocent people we are killing over and over again. And for Brennan and anybody to say that these are precise, and the president to say these are precise instruments, it's inaccurate. The instruments may or may not be precise, but the way that they are targeting people is based on bribing local people in the area who are giving information, often about neighbors or enemies of theirs, and therefore the drones are settling inter-disputes rather than taking out high-value targets. According to the NYU Stanford study, get this, 2% of those killed are so-called high-value targets.
Amazing. Robert Greenwald, thank you so much for being with us tonight, sir.
My pleasure, Tom.